Hello, dear good, salut, annyeonghaseyo. This is Ricky from rikilikemagic, and she says hi. Okay, so this is a strange one. This is a bit of a vulnerable one as well. I'm kind of putting myself out there. But I wanted to start a conversation about this because it's something that I struggled with recently, and it's something I realise doesn't seem to be a thing. Doesn't seem to be something that is talked about a lot. I mean, maybe other people don't experience it, but I doubt that because I consider myself, you know, not particularly singular or extraordinary in this kind of respect. So anyway, so I am afraid of success, and I am afraid of being successful. Let's unpack that. I remember years ago chatting with one of my best friends. We got to this point, specifically about my own journey, that I am genuinely afraid of the success I was working towards and what success would mean. I had nothing to prove that because nothing had really happened to me that was a surge in success for me. But then I forgot about it. This was years ago. Then I forgot about it, and then I doubted it because it didn't happen. Like, nothing happened in order to prove that to myself until after a year and a half of work towards my YouTube channel, I got a surge of popularity through Twitter and through my YouTube channel, for which I'm extremely grateful. I think you can be fearful and be grateful at the same time. I remember the day and seeing the thousands of views and not feeling good at all. I don't want this vlog to come across like I am ungrateful. This is something I'm extremely interested in and fascinated by, and I think it needs to be talked about because the idea of success is different for every single person. And then when I achieved what I had been working towards, it was almost like this be careful what you wish for. So success is relative to each person. So last year I had 700 subscribers, and now I have close to 10,000 subscribers. So to me, that was a surge. And to give you some context, it was a surge to someone like me who had been working on her own in the bubble of her apartment, in the bubble of her head, in the bubble of her laptop and her room for a year and a half. And then all of a sudden, I remember the day when I saw all of that happening. I didn't feel safe. I felt extremely exposed and extremely vulnerable and naked, and it was really terrifying. And I am not saying that the people who responded to me were incredible people, so supportive and really wanted me to do well, but that wasn't the issue. The issue was that I had been working for something that in the end I was not ready for. I wasn't ready for, I hadn't prepared myself mentally for, because I had been in the isolated bubble of my own imagination and my own world and my own creative space, and then I felt under attack, like I had poured out my heart without any conscious thinking about the repercussions of that. So I was in a bad way, actually. I then went researching and tried to look up stuff online, you know, blog posts or articles or YouTube videos. I mean, maybe my research wasn't deep enough. I'm not that good of a researcher, but I did a good bit of searching to see if there were things written about the fear of success. And what was interesting was that there was very little in comparison to the fear of failure. There's like tons of stuff written about the fear of failure. And then when I would look into the things that were made about the fear of success, it was about how to inhibit procrastination if you're afraid of doing well, or how to get yourself motivated even if you're afraid of success, and how to, you know, keep going and keep moving. And the thing is that with my own practice, I work extremely hard, and that wasn't the issue. My work ethic was fine. I don't procrastinate. I do the thing that I need to do, and I do it well. But there was still this underlying fear of, but what if I do well? What if I do well? What happens then? Do I change? Does everyone change around me? Will I still be safe Will I still be the same? Because I like myself and I don't want that to change. And there wasn't really any answers for that online. I've tried to talk to people about this as well. There's been a couple of creative intensives that I've gone to, and I started to mention it to people. Sorry, itchy nose. And the response was very surprised. People were like, oh, fear of success? Because we were talking about different fears that you could go through as a creative. And that really wasn't a thing. It's not a thing other people experience. So I felt really isolated in like, oh, am I the only person who's afraid of what will happen if I live up to my potential? People didn't understand when I said that, like, I am afraid of succeeding. Because like, failure is fine. Failure is daily for me. Failure is unpleasant, but it's very normal. Failure is familiar to me because I'd be quite hard on myself, and I think people who do well are all very hard on themselves. So I consider it failure if I have 6 things to do in my to-do list and I don't get them all done. I consider that failure. So I have to deal with that. I deal with failure every single day, and most of the things I have done and tried in my life, I haven't succeeded at. Failure is my buddy, do you know? It keeps me going, it pushes me forward, it teaches me things. Success is unknown. Success is completely unknown territory, and that terrifies me. And whatever success means, so success was this surge of popularity. You know, I have grown up in the countryside my entire life in a very, very quiet existence. Then I was asking, I think my only intention was that I was asking to be seen. That was the only thing that I was working towards for an hour and a half. For an hour and a half. For a year and a half. I just wanted to be seen. That was my goal. And that was not a healthy goal to have at all. So I think I'm making this video because I want to start a conversation, or I want to add to a conversation, because I feel this. I feel this way, and it's getting better because suddenly I was faced with myself, and I was faced with a huge fear I had, and I had to deal with it. And actually how I dealt with this was I had to take a step back and reevaluate my own intentions. Because I think that's a big thing. I think your intention behind how you want to be successful is the key. I really believe it's a genuine issue, because you see a lot of people in the limelight and in the spotlight craving for more, and never really reconciling with anything, and in fact kind of spiraling down into something that's not healthy, or behaving in ways that isn't easy to understand. But then with that dose that happened to me, I understood why people could go a little mad, because I didn't know how to handle that much attention. It's not natural. There are wonderful, incredible aspects to it. I can reach people, people can reach me and shape me and help me, and I can help you. It's a double-edged sword, I think. Someone said to me once that you can get tutorials and manuals and advice on how to prepare a wedding, how to prepare for a baby, really huge life events you can get a lot of advice on. People can't get advice on how to deal with intermittent successes. I think a lot now about extremely famous people and how they deal with that fame and that success, because there isn't anyone talking about how to deal with that properly. And that's a problem, especially if we are in a culture that pushes people to reach this thing. Like, we have a fame culture, so you want to be famous, but nobody talks about how you need to be mentally prepared to do that, to be that. And that's a problem, because the entire point of being famous is that you feel like other people are unreachable. So of course this gap here shouldn't be explained or talked about, because there needs to be this inaccessibility, and that's really, really dangerous, because like, we are all the same. It's just it can really skew the people who watch you and the person who's being watched, and I don't think that's talked about enough. And recently I've been listening to a Limerick artist called Blind Boy Boat Club. He's one half of the Rubber Bandits, which is a comedy duo in Limerick, and his podcasts are amazing, and I will link them in the description box below. He talks about mental health, and he talks about creative practices, and his podcasts are really, really helping me. They became one of the most famous people in Ireland at one point in their careers a few years ago, and he talks about that in one of his podcasts, and he says that when they reach that point, They left the country and went in hiding because they did not like it. They felt they were on the cover of every single newspaper in the country for after one of their music videos, and he said when that happened he felt a sudden sense of emptiness, and I could totally relate. I didn't feel emptiness when my experience happened to me. I felt a surge of anxiety and terror. He, I think, made a very healthy choice and stepped away from those feelings and stepped away from the thing that was causing those feelings and had a good long think about his next step. And that's what I had to do. And thankfully, the love and the need to create and make things is stronger in me than my fear. But I just want to kind of put into the mix, if this is ever going to be a conversation anyone will want to have with me, that if you are aiming for a certain success, you need to have an internal intention versus an external intention. Because I was moving forward with this extremely external intention, and it gave me crazy motivation. I worked harder than I ever did in my life, but it had the capacity to really hurt me, and it almost did. Sorry about the noise. Sorry, we're having works done. I apologize. It'll probably continue, so hopefully you can still hear me. But I had to reevaluate and think about what I actually wanted for my own artistic practice. What was deep down at the core of what I do, what was important. That's what I had to ask myself. And funnily enough, after a lot of thinking and a lot of work, what came back out was me wanting to do exactly the same stuff that I was doing, like teaching and creating and making YouTube videos and making dance on YouTube videos and learning Korean and working on my mental health. But it had a completely different intention. It had a completely different driving force that has made me so much happier than the previous one. It was like suddenly I had to realize that the thing that had been driving me wasn't serving me anymore, and it wasn't helpful. So I had to find a new thing. And I would really encourage anyone, if anyone is relating to any of this, to think about your internal goals, your internal things that you want to achieve. For me, things that I would work on are learning how to stand up for myself more, making work that I am proud of and isn't based off of what I think other people want to see, things like that. And you just gain more pride in your work and more stability in your mental health that way. I really think so. I feel way less roller coastery after reevaluating my choices. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about this week. I'm sweating a lot, but I hope you realize this comes from a really, really honest place, and I would really love if people talked back to me. So if you have any thoughts on this, anything at all, I would love to hear from you in the comments. I will put resources that I found around this below, but that helped me, but they're very, very few. There were a couple of blogs and then there was Blind Boy's podcast that really helped, but there's a plethora of stuff around how to deal with your fear of failure, and there's nothing around preparing people for success, I think, is my issue. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, you can like, you can subscribe, you can ring the little bell that gives you all the notifications, you can share it with your friends, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. I put up videos every Sunday, and remember, you are who you choose to be, and you are part of something bigger and deeper than yourself. And Shibby says bye!